Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled The Torah of Mosheh, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, Part 2, Understanding the Purpose of the Torah and How They Are All Connected. The podcast objectives are: state the affirmative case on the Torah of Mosheh and YHSWH Messiah, reveal how the Torah of Elohim and the Torah of Mosheh are linked, analyze the purpose and the limitation of the Torah of Mosheh, and reveal the final state of the children of Elohim. Welcome. Now, before we begin today's lesson, I would like to welcome all my beloved brothers and sisters in YHSWH Messiah who have been scattered to the four corners of the earth, who Yahuwah has joined to this ministry for such a time as this. I would also like to welcome anyone who is engaging our podcasts or videos for the first time. We trust you were led by the set apart spirit in finding us. And if you continue to be led, we hope you stay with us, for these are troubling times and an evil day is just ahead. To this end, if you are watching this video on YouTube and you have not subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button below and you will be alerted whenever we post new videos. Also, if you have any questions at the conclusion of this video, you can ask them using the link in the podcast description below the video player. Last but not least, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube can share it with believers like us. We shall have our reward. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome back to our Word from a Watchman series. In our most recent lesson, we analyzed the impetus behind the false narrative on the Torah of Mosheh and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. To wit, the controversy surrounding these belief systems has been manufactured by the synagogue of Satan, i.e., false Hebrews who resist the spiritual standard of YHSWH Messiah because they are addicted to the pursuit of lawlessness. Here lies the inflection. Vis-a-vis, you cannot operate in lawlessness and, at the same time, follow the steps of YHSWH Messiah, i.e., the perfect man. Ergo, these false Hebrews have manufactured a path into everlasting life that does not require them to guard the command. Now, that was the inflection. Here is the problem. To wit, this heresy violates the Torah of Mosheh, forcing it to disagree with the Tehudah and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, for he is the goal of the Torah, which is why he is our example. Therefore, seeing as this is the greatest deception in our nation today, and the primary source of division being promoted by the enemy, we must conduct a spiritual analysis governed by the Ruach of Elohim to make an affirmative case to the contrary of the heresy. To wit, we will affirm the following revelation, which I advise you to bookmark and to share as you are led. The Torah of Mosheh is the foundation of the Tehudah and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. This is in line with the scriptures, which reveal that YHSWH Messiah is the goal of the Torah. Ergo, it is impossible to fulfill the Torah of Moshe without adhering to the Tehudah and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. Now, if you have any doubt about this revelation, I advise you to stay tuned and allow the Ruach to make his case. Not only this, but I also advise you to consider the enemy and how he is using his offspring within the dying nation of Israel to disparage YHSWH Messiah and his Torah. My dear friends, hear me carefully as I say, you will not find honest men and women manufacturing controversy between the Torah of Moshe and YHSWH Messiah. Quite the contrary, this satanic assault is being spearheaded by false Hebrews who are only attacking the spiritual standard of YHSWH Messiah because they don't want to follow it. And the only ones listening to them are also men and women who don't want to follow it. As I say, they will have their reward. For the rest, allow me to use the sword of the Ruach to prove how YHSWH Messiah is the completion of the Torah. And if we follow him, we too shall have our reward. Let's get started. When perfection meets imperfection. Now, if you were here with us at the beginning of this end time series, then you may recall that I have touched on this matter before. To wit, end times 254, 255, and 256 conduct a similar analysis. Not only this, but the points that were made in those podcasts are critical for receiving the knowledge Yahuwah has called me to share in this series. Therefore, I am telling you, you must find the time to listen to those podcasts. Trust me, you will receive great spiritual enlightenment, and you will be better equipped to guard yourself from this deadly deception. And for your reference, these podcasts were posted on January 15th, 22nd, and 29th of 2024. Now, first things first, the foundation of any credible spiritual analysis is purpose. And thus, we must ask, what is the purpose of the Torah of Moshe and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah? That, my friends, is the question. And the answer lies in the following treasure box, which I advise you to bookmark and to share as you are led. The scriptures make reference to three distinct Torah, vis-a-vis the Torah of Moshe, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, and the Torah of Elohim. Now, that said, it is impossible to conduct a spiritual analysis on the Torah of Moshe and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah without considering the Torah of Elohim. This is especially the case, seeing as all three Torahs agree with each other. That said, I have created a diagram that reveals the high-level relationship between the Torah, which you can see to the right. Please take a few moments to pause the video and observe the relationship between the Torah. Now, per the diagram, we see how there is a single thread connecting the Torah. And although the thread starts from the bottom and works its way up, our analysis is best suited if we start from the top and work our way down. Along these lines, the Torah of Elohim, i.e., the divine order, is the law governing the kingdom of heaven. It is the manifestation of the desire of Elohim without any form of opposition or contradiction. Psalm 19:7 is revealing the Torah of Yahuwah is perfect, converting the soul. Psalm 119:1, blessed are the perfect in the way who walk in the Torah of Yahuwah. And Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is that good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of Elohim. Now, these verses validate the connection between perfection and the divine order of Elohim. To wit, the divine order of Elohim does not allow transgression of the Torah of Elohim. This speaks to the primary difference between the Torah of Elohim and the Torah of Mosheh. And this is a key matter you must get, for the text often use the phrase Torah of Yahuwah when it is referring to the Torah of Mosheh. This is not an error, mind you, for Yahuwah is the author of the Torah, even though it was formally given to the former nation by Mosheh. And yet, there is a huge difference between these two Torahs, which I will offer as a revelation. The Torah of Mosheh included mechanisms to address the countless violations committed against it. However, no such mechanisms exist as it pertains to the violation of the Torah of Elohim. My dear friends, this is why there are angels who have no path back into the kingdom of heaven from whence they fell. It is also why certain men and women have died on the spot. It is because anyone who violates the divine order of Elohim, whether in heaven or on the earth, will experience some manner of death. For this is what happens when perfection of this magnitude comes into contact with imperfection. No place in his kingdom. Now, the next question we must address is sure, vis-a-vis, what is the purpose of the Torah of Mosheh? The answer is sure, and we can arrive at it by considering the purpose of the Torah of Elohim. Get this, the purpose of the Torah of Mosheh is to provide a baseline for the rule of Elohim, which will extend from the heavens to fill the entire earth. Along these lines, the rule of Elohim will transpire in the renewed heavens and the renewed earth, and it will continue after the great white throne judgment in the new heavens and the new earth, where we will spend eternity. Notwithstanding, in times past, mankind had no clear path for understanding the divine order of Elohim, and thus he could not prepare himself for the rule of Elohim. Therefore, Yahuwah, in his infinite wisdom, determined to create a set-apart nation that would be a light to all the nations, and by their light, all men would be able to prepare themselves for the rule of Elohim. However, the nation needed a baseline for understanding the divine order of Elohim. Enter the Torah of Mosheh, our schoolmaster and our guide for understanding the perfection of our Creator and his divine order. Now, Understanding the fundamental purpose of the Torah of Mosheh, we must now consider its most glaring deficit. To wit, it contains no mechanism for achieving perfection in the Ruach of Elohim. Now, there are several reasons why this is the case, and the truth is they are all irrelevant. Reason being, the Torah of Moshe was not designed to achieve perfection in the Ruach of Elohim. This is why it, unlike the Torah of Elohim, included a mechanism for the atonement of sins. It is because it was designed to be violated due to the progressive nature of understanding and the pervasive nature of lawlessness. Notwithstanding, those who mastered the understanding of the former Torah were able to achieve a model of perfection, which allowed them to be guarded until the appointed time, to wit, the time of the renewed nation of Israel. Now, what it all comes down to is this. The Torah of Moshe provides us with a fundamental understanding of the divine order of Elohim. However, it does not provide us with the requisite power to fulfill his divine order. And apart from fulfilling his divine order, we have no place in his kingdom. And thus, we conclude there is a gap between the Torah of Moshe and the Torah of Elohim that must be bridged for us to have everlasting life. Now, it goes without saying that the Torah of YHSWH Messiah is the bridge that eliminates this gap, which you can see by the image to the right. However, before we analyze this matter, we must first take a closer look at the divine order of Elohim. In doing so, you will appreciate just how far off men and women were from the kingdom of heaven prior to the renewed covenant, and you will better see the need for YHSWH Messiah. Let's get to work. One day we will be angels. Now, the best place to start in analyzing the divine order of Elohim is by considering the kingdom of Elohim. To wit, we should consider the primary citizens of this kingdom. Enter the messengers of Elohim, i.e., angels. Along these lines, we understand that angels are ministering spirits, and although their roles in the kingdom do carry terrific weight, they are not very complicated. The following treasure box reveals why. Regardless of the command, the role of each messenger is quite simply to execute the will of Elohim without fail. Now, the key phrase in this treasure box is without fail, and thus we conclude the messengers of Elohim are perfect in their execution of his will, for they are submitted to his divine order, and every messenger who has failed this requirement is no longer a member of the kingdom. Now, this is a key concept of the divine order of Elohim and his kingdom that you must receive. And if you are struggling, let me tell you something. If the kingdom of heaven was not established upon perfection, it would be no different than earth. And trust me, the kingdom of heaven is nothing like earth. Alas, earth is a disaster. Earth is chaos. Earth is a zone of death and destruction. Why? It's because the earth is not presently under the rule of Elohim. Not only this, but the punishment for many evil works is not executed speedily. Ergo, the curse of sin has perpetuated, and it has filled the earth with violence and suffering. And it is worse than any of us truly understands. Now, that's how things are on the earth. But let me tell you something. This is not how things are being run in the kingdom of heaven. Au contraire, mon frère, for transgressors will never enter in. The same way, the angels who transgressed have already been thrown out. Now, this is proven by the fact that everyone who inherits the kingdom of heaven will be as the messengers of Elohim. For look, listen, it has been written in the resurrection, they do not marry, nor are they given in marriage, but are as messengers of Elohim in the heavens. This passage and several others prove that our final state as children of the Most High Elohim is similar to the messengers who are presently serving in his kingdom. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, one day we will be angels. Now, that was the inflection, and it speaks to the problem we introduced in the most recent section, vis-a-vis the Torah of Mosheh does not provide us with the requisite power to fulfill the divine order of Elohim so that we can achieve our final state. Plainly speaking, we cannot achieve perfection in the Ruach of Elohim by guarding the Torah of Mosheh. And where there is no perfection in the Ruach of Elohim, there is no entrance into the kingdom. Here again, this speaks to the gap I mentioned in the prior section. And because this gap is defined by a lack of perfection, it can only be bridged by the Torah of perfection. And this, my friends, is the order of the Torah. To wit, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah is the vehicle by which we achieve perfection in the Ruach of Elohim, so that we may one day be as the angels in the kingdom of Elohim. Hallelujah. Now, that said, the next step in this analysis is understanding how the Torah of YHSWH Messiah connects the Torah of Elohim and the Torah of Mosheh. And that will be the topic of the next podcast in this series. And seeing as this is such a crucial topic, the Ruach of Elohim is leading me to call another audible. To wit, next week we will temporarily suspend our exposition of lawlessness, and we will continue our Word from a Watchman series Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, I don't typically suspend our exposition of lawlessness, and thus this should tell you how critical this matter is for you to understand. And so I encourage you to pray fervently concerning these matters and stay locked in. I'll see you next week. Yahuwah bless you until then. Now, here is the final word. From this word, you should have detected when it comes to the Torah, it's all connected. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, division is one of Satan's favorite devices. And as you can see, he uses division to contradict the word of truth. As I say, Satan is the author of the heresies and the lies that work to pit the Torah of Mosheh against the Tehudah and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. And we must resist him by submitting ourselves to the divine order of Elohim and daily walking in his desire. Heretofore, I recommend, stay with me as the Ruach gives us the knowledge we need to resolve these matters. For anyone who is not following the order of the Torah will not live happily ever after. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on today's lesson. And if you have any questions, please submit them using the form at pinnacleofholiness.com. And I will respond to you as soon as I can. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, The Torah of Mosheh, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, Part 2. And the next podcast is entitled The Torah of Mosheh, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, Part 3. I will post this podcast on Monday, December 1st, 2025. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is